please welcome your moderator for the Good Omens panel, the host of TV I Say podcast,
my all-time favorite Antichrist fumbler, who you might know as Sister Mary Loquacious. Please welcome Nina Sosanya. I do want to mention we will have a special guest. Michael Sheen will be joining us. He will be joining us over Zoom at the end. So there you go. That's the special treat. How's everyone doing? Let's
good.
Good. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now
What
let's
are you
just.
doing? Are you okay?
I'm good. Yeah.
You lost your copy of Good Omens.
I did. I brought my copy of Good Omens that I've had since college to get it signed, and I left it on the plane. Yeah. You know, it was going to be my evidence. Thank you for holding yourself. It's going to be my evidence I'm a real fan for all you Comic-Con kids, you know? Like, I'm real about this.
It's okay. I think I know somebody who can get one.
I think you can hook me up. I think so. So let's just jump right in. Let's start where things last left off and dig into some of the questions that we have had since season 1. You know, I think we can feel the excitement building in the room. I'm a big fan. I don't even know where to start with my favorite character. I think I'm going to have to go with Sister Mary, actually.
So close, it was so close.
Almost.
I just love someone who messes things up so beautifully.
Yeah, she kind of messes up the whole world, potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
But she means well. She means very well.
She
has a heart
very
of
well.
gold. Yeah.
You know, she's doing her best. So it's been a minute since we were all able to come together and celebrate Good Omens. Can you all tell us, what did you miss most since season 1 wrapped and before you got to start season 2?
What did we miss most?
Yeah.
About What, about the show? About
Well, see,
making it?
The show, making it, spending time together.
I mean, I personally.
I think we
did-
missed. We're a very big and cuddly family at Good Omens. I think we missed all the cast and we missed all the crew.
Yeah.
And I think what we didn't miss was our exterior bookshop location because it was very cold.
That was actually probably, if you're going to talk about the differences between season 1 and season 2, the fact that in season 1, our first day shooting in the bookshop was cancelled because of the blizzard outside, and the second day we had to shoot interiors because people with flamethrowers were trying to melt the ice in the puddles outside.
It was so cold that we had to go to Scotland for season 2 to get warmer.
Yes. So we built our wonderful set, our Soho, inside this time. And while we never actually got warm, it didn't blizzard.
Yeah.
Do you know what I missed?
Me.
I missed David Tennant, because I love him so much.
Yes.
And I'm not even going to deny it, sorry.
And I miss Michael Sheen in the same way.
Yeah, I missed the fact that it was like Douglas said, it was a real family. I just missed being part of my sisterhood as well. That was just a really lovely experience with all of us dressed in our funny black Christmas tree outfits.
Yes, evil Christmas tree.
Yeah, and that was really lovely.
Well, I have to say, I'm quite biased for the second season, so I was just really excited to join this family. Everyone was just so welcoming. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know there was going to be a second season, so I missed nothing. I'm just thrilled to be here.
And Rob, you missed David so much. I found this out backstage. You kept Crowley's car.
I kept quite a lot of the vehicles from season 1 and season 2. Yeah, I have all the motorbikes, I have the cars, and now I have topped it with Crowley's Bentley.
Very nice, very nice.
And he has a bid in when David dies, he will get the body and it will be stuffed in the Terry Pratchett Museum with the glasses on.
With the
David's
sunglasses.
very happy with that. He's good with it.
Georgia's cool with it, she's fine, that's fine.
Maggie, Nina, this one's for you. The Good Omens nuns, they've taken on a life of their own. Can you tell us what it is like to play those nuns, and what was it like on set getting into those characters?
Yeah, well, like Nina says, it was when we were all together, we were just this little pack of sort of shuffling, chattering, evil Christmas trees, and it was deeply comforting. And we did also realize there was a day when we'd all been talking, just in the green room for about 10 minutes, and then somebody went, "What's that got to do about badgers?" And we realized we hadn't heard anything because so much wimple work was going on. But yeah, it's just a sort of joy, isn't it?
Yeah, it was really nice. I sort of realized how alluring it is to just be in the same outfit as absolutely everybody else.
Yes.
Being in this uniform, because you didn't have to think about what you were wearing. Or
Yeah.
Also, I think I had a monobrow.
Yes, some of us had some more facial hair put on and a wart.
They tried to give me a wart, and I said, "Can I not?" And so he got it.
I didn't know you could just say no. I just said, yeah, no, fine. Or went in my soup
Well,
in
you
London.
pulled it off. Really nice.
Thanks,
guys.
Bear.
Whatever. Yeah, but then we were all sort of just our little faces
Yeah.
poking out, and it was lovely. Yeah, sister.
So it's like this on
Sisterhood.
set every day.
I love it. And Kellen, welcome to Good Omens.
Thank you.
What was it like to join the show? Were you a fan?
Yeah, I was actually. And so I just had a little bit of like an out-of-body experience being on set. Like the very first day, it was like a scene that I had to interact with David and Michael. And so it was just kind of like, concentrate, Kellen, concentrate. It's okay, it's okay. And it was just overwhelming in the best of ways, honestly.
And this is for all of you. It is from Mrs. Musi35 on Instagram, if you're here. How emotional was it on set knowing that you're carrying on this journey Neil and Terry started?
Yeah, I mean, I cried most of the time. It's lovely.
She's not actually exaggerating. She gets very, very emotional about the whole thing. It's too exciting to step into a book. It's magic to step into a book and into something you've had in your head for years. And that makes you, every little detail makes you incredibly toddler-like in your excitement.
If there's any actors out there who want to know how to get a part, Nina came in to audition, and one of the first things she said was, I read the book at least once a year. She was in at that point.
Actually, let me come in on that, because it's...
You don't believe her?
I absolutely believe that. What was interesting is Nina was really early in the auditions, and up until that point, I'd been kind of awkward as these audition videos would come in, and a lot of them were people trying to be funny, because they knew that Good Omens was funny, they knew the lines were funny, and they were trying to be funny. And Nina auditioned, and suddenly I got to send an email to our casting director and say, this thing that Nina's doing, where she's not trying to be funny, she knows the lines are funny, so she's actually acting it, that's what we want. That is the tone of Good Omens. And
it was a huge step.
It really was.
A huge step, yeah. So thank you.
Get out of it.
And
then Maggie came in and ruined it. With her warts and everything.
Sorry.
Comedy warts.
And Rob, I'd love to know your answer. I know you're often called Terry's voice on Earth.
Terry Pratchett's Voice on Earth is a title I particularly like, yes.
You're kind of the Pope, aren't you?
The Pope. Oh,
the Pratchett Pope.
The Pratchett Pope. I'll upgrade, yes. I want to bring Terry to set every day, but it's not a difficult task because everybody knows the book had two authors, and Neil is there representing all of us on every day that we're there. And it's my job just to be there for Terry. But everybody loves the book. I think that's the thing for me. You find out that Good Omens just happens to be everybody's favorite book. Almost everybody we work with, if it's not in their top 10, it's in their top 5. That's so special for me.
Yeah.
I think as well it was interesting doing season 2, obviously without the book, because I sort of had a feeling that maybe his presence would retreat a bit, but it just didn't at all. We felt him on set every day, and I still carry the Good Omens book about. I haven't lost mine yet.
Don't leave it on a plane.
Yeah. And so he was there, and his hat's still in the bookshop, and but in a much broader way, tonally, what Neil and the other writers have written for us is more Good Omens, and that's got Terry right through the grain.
This is for our executive producers. It is from a fan via Instagram at 505. How would things be different if Tennant and Sheen switched roles?
You know, they keep talking about that. They both come up to me independently and suggested that at some point I might like to write a Good Omens stage play so they can swap roles each night.
And now we all want this to happen.
And it's
Make it
also
happen,
true
make
that
it happen.
both of them, I've got David to do it once and I've got Michael to do it once, where I have them read the drunk scene from season 1 alone, and they get to play both parts and the narrator, and you really get a lovely sense of Michael Sheen's Crowley and of David Tennant's Aziraphale. But the truth is that Michael was meant to have played Crowley. That was where it all began, was me going, who do I know who could be Crowley? Michael Sheen loves the book. Michael would do it. Called Michael, do you want to do it? He's like, yes. I thought, great, I have a Crowley. So when I started writing the scripts, I was writing them going, I know I have my Crowley. I have Michael Sheen. And around the middle of episode 3, I was going, this Crowley doesn't really feel a lot like Michael Sheen. And then I wrote this scene where he came down, where Crowley comes down the center aisle of a church, hopping like a man on a beach at a hot day because it's walking on holy ground, and I thought, David Tennant would be really good at that. I could get David Tennant. And then when it was all done, I figured I had to break it to Michael that he wasn't going to be Crowley, that I wanted him to be Aziraphale. And he'd read the scripts. And we had this really, really awkward dinner because I was trying to pluck up the courage to break it to Michael that I wanted him to play Aziraphale. And Michael was trying to find the way to break it to me that he did not want to play Crowley. He wanted to play Aziraphale, having read the script. So it was an awful dinner until the end, where we're just like, what, you two? Oh, good. Well, I'm thinking of David Tennant. Oh, no, you like, good, you like him. Okay. So it became a lot easier at that moment.
People often wonder if Aziraphale and Crowley are based on you, Neil, and Terry. Neil, is there any truth to that? And Rob, if so, who's Aziraphale and who's Crowley?
There is no doubt in my mind. Neil Gaiman is Crowley. Look at the glint in his eye.
I think it's perfectly fair to say that in the creation of Crowley, Terry took the things that I did that he thought were hilarious, like wearing sunglasses indoors when I didn't need to. I was younger then. And he thought they were just hilarious. So he put a lot of me into Crowley, but then we both put a lot of ourselves into both of them. There's really what was most important for Terry was just that people would think he was the good one. So if any bricks came through any windows, they were going to come through mine. Which is why in all photos, I am the one in black. Terry, who never wore white, would always go and borrow white clothes from people to be in author photos.
This wasn't worn. There's no accident that I'm wearing this today, Neil.
I love it. And Douglas, before Good Omens, you and David worked together often on Doctor Who. What's it like to... Come on. I knew that would get something. Come on. What's it like to work with David as two very distinct characters, and which version of David do you prefer?
Well, that's a complicated. That's like asking who your favorite Doctor Who is. I don't even know which my favorite Scottish one is. I think, so I've worked out, and I haven't talked to David about this, but I've worked out that I think I've directed David Tennant more than any other director because of the two shows, which David might not be happy about that, but that's the truth. I think David is incredible, and I'm not sure how much you see of his other work over here, but he inhabits other characters in a way that no other actor that I know can do. And Michael's amazing in his own way, but they're both so different and similar at the same time. They're both geniuses at the acting, but they have different ways into the characters. And David, who I think might be doing a little bit more Doctor Who just now, is he just puts on that coat as Doctor Who, and he just becomes that incarnation. And it's the same with Good Omens. On the first day of season 2, there they were just back, you know. And we've just started doing ADR for Michael in the last few weeks. And so the difference in the way they work is that David is always around the monitor having a look at what he's done, and Michael doesn't watch himself at all. And that's not to do with confidence, it's just their techniques. So we watched Michael watching the show for the first time a few weeks ago on doing the ADR, and he goes, "Oh, look, we're back. We're back. It's really exciting." And he was like a fan, wasn't he? He was just going, "Oh, look, there's Aziraphale." I'm going, "That's you, Michael." That's you. So sorry, I can't talk about one without the other. So, you know, because they get very grumpy if I do that. but no, the pair of them are answering the earlier question about their differences. The pair of them inhabit those characters so much. I can't handle the idea of them swapping roles. It's too much as it is.
But then again, they did swap roles, and at the end of season 1, we got them each to play the other one.
Yeah.
I didn't like those days.
Those were the hardest days of filming.
Those are hard days.
Yeah.
Because they were both taking the mickey out of each other, and I mean, you saw what they did on screen, what they did off screen.
So, Michael Sheen, people forget that in addition to being an amazing actor, Michael Sheen is also an amazing mimic. And during one of the very final scenes of Good Omens, I, as a producer, had the headphones on, and the guys were acting, and we were sort of pulling away, and they were sitting on a bench still talking. And all of a sudden, David Tennant started saying awful things about Michael Sheen. Just, you know, there's Crowley and Aziraphale talking, and Crowley is saying all this stuff about how, you know, Aziraphale is fat and Michael can't act, and all of this stuff is going on. And I'm like, what? That David is the nicest man in the world. And then the penny drops that is Michael just sitting there doing a pitch perfect David Tennant as Crowley. It was...
And David's pretty good the other way around as well. He's very good.
We need to see this. Maggie, Nina, how did you react when Neil said he wanted you to come back for season 2, but as new characters?
I mean, obviously, I cried. I heard about it in the middle of the pandemic, and it was a time when it seemed like the creative industry might not be happening again. And so to receive an email from one Mr. Neil Gaiman saying not only that he was writing Good Omens 2, but there was a part for me should I want it, and I did. It was like a gift of hope, first of all, because the fact that he could imagine a world when it was all going to be possible again was beautiful. And then we actually got to do it. So, yeah, quite emotional and rather good.
All of that.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But also, yeah, it was kind of strange because it was into the unknown. Because there was this whole thing that we knew, and then suddenly it all opened up, and all possibilities, which I found quite scary personally. Yeah. And also when we found out that we were going to be different characters, it was a very odd feeling to sort of say goodbye to.
And then you discovered that you were going to have your own names as the characters.
Yeah, and then I just became perpetually confused.
It was a thing where one of the things that I was very, very certain before I started writing season 2 was that there were 2 characters in it, and I wanted them played by Maggie and Nina. So in order to make it clear to everybody reading the script that they were going to be played by Maggie and Nina, I called the characters Maggie and Nina.
Genius.
And that way, I thought nobody's going to argue with me. They'll just, the characters are Maggie and Nina. And so then we were sort of heading towards the thing, and I checked in with Maggie and Nina and was like, you know, do you want me to change the names of the characters? And they quite liked being Maggie and Nina.
I mean, he's Neil Gaiman. Do you know what I mean?
What are you going to say?
Yeah, I think it was a bit lazy. Not to think up 2 new names. And to be honest, it was hell on set. Because
to be fair, yeah.
It was. Cause
I don't think I'd ever do that again for that reason.
There's an entire protocol on my set, certainly, where the way you call, I'm getting confused now about who you are, where you call a character by their real name and not their cast name when you're rehearsing.
Yeah.
Whereas they would turn up and say, hello, Maggie and Nina. So where's Maggie and Nina?
But the weird thing is, even, I mean, you know, we look like we do, and we talk like we do, and we act like we do, and we have our actual names, and yet there was still...
Still called Maggie.
Yeah.
Still called Nina.
Yeah. I know, I get a cup of tea going, oh, mate, there you are.
And it's sort of fun because they aren't you guys.
No.
And that's the other bit, is Nina's so grumpy. And she is quite possibly the grumpiest character I've ever written.
Or the character.
It was a good setup. It was a good setup, that. Endless.
Yeah.
And so they aren't actually, it'll really confuse people.
Yeah.
Because they will actually expect Maggie and Nina to be like you two.
Yeah.
And you're not, you're
Yeah,
acting.
we're not.
Yeah, that's right.
Professionally.
Apparently.
And Quelin, can you tell us, what was it like when you found out you were cast for season 2?
Oh my goodness. I was in my flat and I was in my PJs and like I get a call from my agent and I went, wait, I need to put you on speaker. And I put him down and I was just like, really? And he was just like, yeah, they want you. They loved the audition. And so it was just like, I was just so excited to know that I was going to be able to be a part of this world, and that now that, we were coming out of the books as well, and like just expanding on this world, and I just felt so excited that I was going to be able to be a part of that, and then also a new character. So it was just like, how can I put my own spin on this, and also figure out who this person is, who this angel is. And so, yeah, it was just exhilarating.
Quelin is an angel called Muriel, which is a real angel name, and it's also the name Muriel. But
I've just realised you didn't make her name up either.
I have no imagination. I never make anybody's names up. And Muriel is when John Finnemore and I were talking about what we wanted in season 2, we realized that one thing we didn't have in heaven, apart from Aziraphale, were any nice, well-meaning angels. All we had were bastards. and Gabriel, he is the boss from heaven, but he's still a bastard. They're all awful. So we thought, well, let's have a nice one. And we created Muriel. Muriel hasn't got to, basically, Muriel has spent about 6,000 years or more in the same office in heaven, not talking
Just
to
filing
anybody.
badly.
Just filing things, reading things, hoping that somebody will come in and the day will get more interesting, but normally it doesn't. But Muriel is very well-meaning and has always wanted to get out a bit.
And I think because of that as well, she's just so gullible and curious, and just, she's a bit chatty and always just, she crosses all the T's and dots all the I's, but does them in reverse, like just wrong. So it's just,
I wish we had a clip that she was in.
Oh,
Really?
we might.
Ooh.
We might a little bit later.
Exciting.
I got you.
Before we get to that, how about I know everyone wants to know about season 2, so let's focus on some questions for season 2. Neil, will you share with us, when did you start writing the second season? How long did it take you to finish it?
It's not finished now.
Season 2, in August 2019, I told Amazon, some people from Amazon and some people from the BBC at a fancy breakfast, and I said, this is the plot. And they said, oh, we like that plot. And somewhere around December of that year, 2019, Jon Finnemore and I got together for coffee in a rooftop cafe, and I told him the plot, and he said, that is a good plot. But how does it end? You don't have an end to it. And I'm like, well, I never have ends until you get there. And he said, no, I'm the kind of writer who needs an end. So then I said, well, how about this? And I told him the end, and he said, that is a good end. So that was when the end got made up.
And is that the end we've got?
That is the end
All
that
right,
we've got,
okay.
yes, actually. And pretty much beat for beat, that is the end.
Yeah, but before that, we'd had the Isle of Skye summit, remember?
Yep.
So I'm from the Isle of Skye, and Neil knows Skye very well, and the pair of us went up there, and I didn't know that we were going to do season 2, really, for sure. And we had something to eat, and there's just the two of us in the house, and we sat down with a very large whiskey in front of a fire, and Neil told me this story that we were going to tell. And so that was, I think, anyway, it was one of the, certainly for me, it was, it confirmed we were going to do it. It was really on. And it was very exciting, and Maggie and Nina were mentioned then. I should also say that Quelin was, I've seen lots of actors come into big running shows and freeze on the first morning, or the last morning. She came in and she just took us over, and wasn't frightened of Michael or David or anybody, especially not me, but just took us over, and her performance is so measured and clear from zero. I mean, the other ones have got warts and they've read the book, but she just came in and just did it, and it's just an amazing. It's not your first time on screen, but for us, it's just glorious.
And I started writing it in the middle of the pandemic, summer of 2020. I remember getting out my notebook and writing in pencil the first scene, which is exactly the first scene, as it wound up. And after that, writing Maggie and Nina was an absolute dream. I loved it. Just so we should say a few things about you. Maggie, who do you play?
Am I actually allowed to say?
Yeah, go on, tell them.
Holy moly. Yeah, all right. So I play Maggie.
What?
And she runs a record shop, which is beside Aziraphale's bookshop in Soho. So Mr. Fell is basically her landlord, and it's a shop that's been passed through the generations, thinking that her ancestors are Mr. Fell's ancestors. It's the same guy, we know that, he's an angel. Is he? I don't know. And my shop looks across at where Nina works.
Another shop, which is a coffee shop, called, I can say what it's called, can't I? Yeah, it was called Give Me Coffee or Give Me Death. Yeah.
You see, Americans get it.
Yes. Yes. Makes absolute sense to me. And Nina, who's a bit mintier than I am, runs this independent coffee shop in Soho, and so she's quite, she's good at dealing with the people that come into a coffee shop in Soho, which is probably quite, everybody knows what that's going to be like. You get all sorts, and she's not afraid of dealing with people. She's not afraid of anything. What are you looking at?
Hey, look at you!
And she wears great cardigans. Look at that. Yeah, that's who she is. Minty.
I love it. And for our executive producers, what were your major sources of inspiration for season 2?
Well, for me, every piece of media, every interview that we gave for season 1, I was sitting back, I was very relaxed, because season 1, that was going to be it. It had a middle, a beginning, and an end. Fantastic, that's the story. And then Neil phones me one day and says, you know how this one goes. Now, for those of you who knew Terry Pratchett, we took the calls from Terry. That's how Terry would work out the plot. He would phone you up and say, you know how this one goes. And you would settle in, you'd have a cup of tea, and he would download the plot of the book, or maybe just a scene from the book, something that was causing him a literal problem, and he would talk through it. And often the phone would go down. He wouldn't say cheerio, he'd just get to the end of his bit and the phone would go down, and Terry would then run to the keyboard. Now, I didn't have that with Neil. Neil gave me season 2. And I felt incredibly privileged. I mean, Neil Gaiman phoned you up and download season 2 from his brain into yours. And it was a delight. But it wasn't until we were all in Scotland the first time, and I'm sitting there on my chair, we're beside the bookshop, and it's our Soho, there it is. And Michael walks on as Aziraphale for the first time, and you just think we're fine, everything is going to be okay, we're in safe hands, And that's honestly how I feel. But let me just say, though, scene 1, first day of principal photography, who was it? Who did we shoot first?
Maggie.
Oh, Wartface here. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a real honour.
That was a good one, that was,
Yeah, it was a
wasn't it?
special day.
It was very, very good.
So how about we start with you giving us a clue about what season 2 will be about? Can we get any clues?
Well, there's a
It'll be
record
about
store
6
and a copy.
episodes.
And Aziraphale and Crowley will be in it.
Yeah.
They will be in it. We know they'll be back in Soho.
Each episode will be about 45 minutes.
There'll be
Good clues,
Fewer,
good
fewer
clues.
warts. Fewer warts.
There are no words. Oh, well, I will say that there are some love stories in it. I will say that you will learn a lot about Jane Austen that you didn't know before. And that you will get to, there's a lot more heaven, there's a lot more hell. We have some characters in, I just didn't want to lose people. We really were such a family. I couldn't imagine doing Good Omens season 2 without Maggie and Nina, for example. Also couldn't imagine doing it without Miranda Richardson. Except the Madame Tracy story had really finished. I couldn't think of anything else to do with Madame Tracy. I felt like her story had ended so beautifully. So I just wrote a new part for Miranda.
Yes.
And she is she's basically the demon on Earth who came to replace Crowley after they sacked Crowley. Her name is Shax.
Shax. I believe we have a first look of Shax. There we go.
She's fabulous.
And of course, we also have one actor replacing another actor,
Yes.
which,
A kind of regeneration thing.
yes, which was done because the original actor was not only was in 2 shows and a stage play when we needed her. So we had to say goodbye to Anna Maxwell Martin, who we loved as Beelzebub. And I know. But then we got to hire Shelley Conn as Beelzebub. And she killed it in auditions, and she is every bit as awful as Anna Maxwell Martin was as Beelzebub.
And demanded to have more flies.
Yes, a lot more flies. Our CGI people they're basically spending most of their lives currently animating her flies.
And I should say, just you've reminded me that back in London, our entire team is watching this live. So I just want to say hello to them. Can you cheer for them?
Yeah. Now get
back to work,
guys.
yeah.
Back to work. Do the flies.
And I believe we also have a first look of Muriel. Quelin, you're playing Muriel the angel. Can you tell us a bit about what it was like playing an angel?
I mean, look at her, honestly. Well, she's, I mean, I suppose we spoke about her quite a bit already, but she's a 37th order Scrivener. So she's like absolute, just bottom of the pile, bless her. And this is her first time to Earth, so she's just, it was just so fun, like trying to figure out how would she interact with all of this, because there's so many things that we take for granted that it's just the way we communicate, like saying hi, and it's like, oh, would she know this? You know what I mean? So it was just, yeah, and she's just bless her. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait for you to see.
So we do have that season 2 clip, but before we get to it, I want to ask one more fan question from Twitter. If you could pick any era to see Aziraphale and Crowley in that we haven't already seen, what era would it be?
I would choose 19th century Scotland.
Edinburgh, perhaps, in about 1827.
That would be good. Can you write that?
Oddly enough, episode 3 will take us to a little stint of body snatching in that era. For me, it would be like 1941, and we'd go back to those Nazis that
That would be good. And what about something biblical as well? Could we do something like
A Bible is
that?
good.
The Bible's good. Good
We
story.
could do like the story of, back in biblical times.
Yeah.
That'd be really fun. We could do one of those in like episode 2.
We could.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we think that's a really good idea. So those will be our...
Yeah. If everyone back in London could just get on with that, that
Yeah.
would be great. Thank you.
Just write that.
I know, that sounds good.
I love it. So we have this special scene from season 2. This clip is special. It is special for you in the room. So we're asking you, please do not film it. Please put your phone away. So Neil, do you want to tee this
I
clip up?
will. So we're going to see... who are you going to see? Well, you are going to see Quelin. You're going to see Nina. You're also going to see Donna Preston, who some of you may know from Sandman, where she plays Despair, playing...
When's that coming out, Sandman?
It already happened. It's old news. It's like history. And she plays Mrs. Sandwich. And Mrs. Sandwich, we're never quite clear on Mrs. Sandwich's profession, but she's definitely in Soho in London. And
I've just realised that's
after
another
her
name
girls.
that you only partly made up. Sandman, Sandwich.
So yes, you're going to meet Mrs. Sandwich. You'll meet Nina, whose love life is doomed. Nina's love life is, well, maybe there will be hope for it, but it's definitely in the middle of being doomed at the beginning of this scene. And she's getting texts from Lindsay. Lindsay does tend to send texts. Writing Lindsay's passive-aggressive texts was some of the most fun that we had. Every now and then you just sit and write 30 texts from
I can see the
tumbling
time
love life.
ticking
Sorry.
away, yeah.
Yes.
There is a timer. So again, this clip is special. Please do not film it. Let's roll the clip. Amazing. That clip is so special. Even though I'm moderating, this is the first time I got to see it.
Me
It's all of
too.
you.
Me too. No joke. I was experiencing
Me
it
too.
with you guys.
So before we bring in our special guest via Zoom, one final question. We know what's been on all the fans' minds. When can they expect season 2 to drop on Prime Video?
Shall we? Shall we? On the count of 3? 1, 2, 3. Summer 2023!
Oh,
Summer of 2023.
So there it is.
We should have rehearsed that a bit better.
Okay, do we have Michael standing by?
Yes. We
Okay, let's...
gonna share a few words, answer a few questions.
He
Where-
was not easy to persuade to
He
do
was
this.
kind of difficult about it, wasn't he?
He had to tell him he was the star.
And that David wasn't.
Can we get him on the Zoom?
No, I think it's working now. Hello, everyone. Oh, wait for screaming and cheers to die down. It's such an honor to be here with you at New York Comic Con. Woo! When Neil and Douglas asked if I could zoom in and answer some questions and talk a bit about Good Omens, I'll be honest with you, I hesitated. I'm very busy doing important things. But then they said, Michael, you're the star, you're the person everyone's come here to see. Your name was up on the screen on series 1 a full second before David's was. We need you. And so I was persuaded. Without any hesitation, the first question here comes from...
Is this? Oh, hello! New York Comic Comic-Con! Oh, how lovely to be here, everyone. When Neil and Douglas asked me to be here, I said, well, I'm actually rehearsing for a play right now, but they said...
Did they tell you you were the star?
Yeah, well, they pointed that out. Hello, Michael. But they also said, I'm the Doctor. And the lovable Scottish rogue from Staged.
Hello, New York Comic Con.
Oh, there's John.
John.
Did Neil and Douglas tell you that you were the star of Good Omens?
No, he did not. He did not mention that to me.
Well, that's a relief.
They did just point out to me, however, that I had the most brand recognition in America, and I guess I'm just the one that everyone cared about.
Oh. My name's Jon Hamm, and I'm in Top Gun.
Yeah.
Well, we're here now.
So, the first question that came in from Twitter is, how did you find out that there was going to be a Good Omens Season 2? And how did you find out that you were going to be part of it?
I think Michael and I probably found out at the same time from Neil, didn't we? There was always a sort of hope at the end of Season 1 that there might be more story to tell, or the beginnings of a suggestion that there might be more story to tell.
I think, it was certainly put to us, the idea of doing more, and, how could you say no? With Neil at the helm and Douglas, and to get to be able to work with Jon Hamm again.
I remember talking to Neil about it while we were doing press for the first season, and it sounded very exciting and a very interesting potentiality, but I didn't realize there would be one. And then COVID happened, and Neil was stuck in the Antipodes somewhere, and he told me he had this wonderful idea that I would start by walking down the street in Soho completely nude. And I thought, well, that's a great way to start things. And he sent me a beginning of a scene where Gabriel does not recognize.
How did I find out that I was going to be part of it? Well, I'm just gonna say it. I'd have been very upset if I wasn't. if they'd said, we're doing Good Omens Season 2, but there's not going to be any Aziraphale in it. That would have been, although I know David did canvass very hard for that. But obviously, gladly, his words fell on deaf ears.
What's next?
Okay, were you guys fans of Good Omens, the book, and what was it like for you to be a part of it?
So I was a big fan of the book from the moment it came out. I'm not sure David has even read it yet, to be honest. I mean, maybe you could ask him that.
No, I didn't know the book at all. I think I was the only person on earth who hadn't read it. So I didn't know it. And then being attached to it, I suddenly realised how important it was to everybody.
Daddy, is it a decoration yet?
You what, Baba?
Is it a decoration yet?
But it's been a great joy to get to know how much people love this book and how much it means to them, and that mostly we seem to not have broken their dreams but only enhanced them. I hope that continues.
Having Neil at the very centre of it was a massive help, because you feel like, well, we're in safe hands. And seeing and knowing how much he and Douglas both cared and respected the source material, but also were open to new ideas, and very much about being protective of Terry as well, and representing Terry, and making sure that Terry was very much a presence within it. So so it was just a wonderful experience. And then to see the reaction that people had was just great, and a relief.
That it?
All right, guys, that was fun. Can we do it again, please? Guys?
So great. What do you have to say about that?
Jon Hamm mentioned that thing.
What, walking you down the street? I thought it was a great... Listen, he said yes to that. I knew he'd say yes to anything. What I came up with I think was almost as good as it
was
would have
nearly
been
as
to
good,
actually.
yeah. He was a little bit disappointed,
Yes.
but, oh well. Another time.
And that is the end of our panel. I want to thank my esteemed panelists. I want to ask you to watch the first season on Prime Video if you haven't already. Of course you all have. Watch it again. And feel free to tweet #Good Omens.
And we think that Series 2 is really quite good.
Yep. Not bad at all.
You know, it's definitely a great way to build on the ridiculous success of season 1.
The scale of the success, and thanks to all of you for being part of it.
It is. It's because you guys watched and loved season 1. We got to make a season 2. We got to bring back Maggie and Nina in different roles. We got to bring Quelin on stage, and those three weirdos get to turn up again and do their stuff.
You can imagine the nightmare it was on set every day.
So hard. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.